My Facebook feed is full of dichotomy. If you're worried about your grandma dying from the coronavirus, well, that's because you're a smug liberal. And if you're worried about losing your job because of the economic implications, that's because you are a heartless racist with a death wish. This is a complex issue and really shouldn't be simplified so divisively. The most important players in the debate are the doctors and the economists. Do you care more about lives or money? Because the clock is ticking. So why did we lock down in the first place? The idea was to flatten the curve. In the beginning, because of its unparalleled communicability, everybody acknowledged that most of us would get the virus. We just didn't want everybody to get it at once, because this would cause the hospitals to become overwhelmed and people in need of life-saving medical care wouldn't get it. If we just were able to cause the virus spread to slow, flattening the curve, then the hospitals wouldn't become overwhelmed and doctors would have a chance to tend to everybody in need. There are really only two ways that this coronavirus dystopia ends. A vaccination is created and mass distributed, or B, enough people get the virus and become immune so that we reach herd immunity. Once about 65% of the population has gotten the virus, it has trouble spreading because the majority of the population is immune. As for the vaccine solution, we are at least 12 months away from that, and we can't stay in lockdown that long. Interestingly, Sweden, who didn't lock down at all, has almost already reached herd immunity and will be moving on from the issue very soon. Most hospitals in the US right now are operating disturbingly far below capacity right now. As we quarantine this far below capacity, we may never reach herd immunity, extending the lockdown indefinitely. There's also the distinct likelihood of a second wave as soon as we emerge from quarantine. After the initial rise in infections, the quarantine slows the virus down. However, when we begin to intermingle again, there will be another rise in infections, the second wave, which will eventually die off due to herd immunity, a second quarantine, or a vaccine. From what I can tell, quarantine at this point is doing nothing more than prolonging the inevitable second wave. So just how bad is the virus? You have a 1 out of 103 chance of dying in a car crash, a 1 out of 7 chance of dying from cancer, and a 1 out of 7 chance of dying from heart disease. Your chance of dying from the coronavirus is probably significantly less than 1 out of 10,000, multiple orders of magnitude less than any of the above options. So are we really saving lives? If we destroy the economy, people lose their jobs, and America, one of the greatest suppliers of food to the world, doesn't supply nearly as much food. Any given year, about 100 million people starve worldwide, and it's estimated that because of the current economic downturn, 260 million people will starve this year. Because of our economic collapse, 160 million more people are going to starve this year. Shutting down the economy will always result in more deaths than it saves. Our government has always done math like this, with even the FDA estimating one life to be worth $7.9 million. So let's look at the pros and cons of extending quarantine. On the pro side, we prolong the inevitable second wave a couple of months. On the con side, 160 million more people starve, millions lose their jobs, the economy is destroyed, depression and suicide are rampant, and we are all bored. So, I guess if you disagree with me, tell me why in the comments. I'd love to talk about it.